Greetings of peace and paradise. This is part 2. In this video I'm dealing with the religious connections and the connections that the religions have with these extraterrestrial beings, so-called Illuminati, but really are a group of extraterrestrial beings. In part 1 I dealt with the relationship that the Jewish religion, which actually borrowed their doctrine, like I said, from the Babylonian doctrine, and I dealt with the Jewish relationship dealing with the Sabbath and their relationship with these extraterrestrial beings, which ties into the Sabbath, which ties into the projects called the Adama projects that took place, where, like I said, a group of extraterrestrial beings actually created man. Because when they say let us make man, this was actually a group of extraterrestrial beings that experimented on the genetics of Homo erectus and caused what they call the quantum leap, or the missing link is really a group of extraterrestrials inserting their DNA and their intelligence into man. And this is how we got here today. This is how we became so intelligent. This is where we got our intelligence from. They sped up our evolution. That's what happened. They sped up our evolution. Because we would have evolved to this point, but it would have took millions of years, and they took basically what would have took millions of years to happen in normal circumstances. They sped up our evolution and did this within 49,000 years, which I talked about in part 1. Now, part 2, I'm dealing with Christianity and its connections with this group of extraterrestrial beings. Now, like I said, the Jews lost the covenant. And this is like a lot of history or whatever. I mean, this is a lot of history. I'm using banner terms in this video. It's a lot more to it. And I will be working on other videos to go more in depth. But I'm just giving you a surface level to show you that all of the religions have connections with this group of extraterrestrial beings. They all have connections with them. Now, as far as the Christianity doctrine, they got their doctrine as well from an older doctrine. From the Sumerian doctrine, where the story of Jesus actually linked into the story of Tammuz. The story of Tammuz. Now, Tammuz was a very interesting deity and a very interesting story, because Tammuz, just like Jesus, was a demigod or hybrid. He was part alien and he was part human. Tammuz was part alien and he was part human. Just like in the story of Jesus, when you hear about his father being an angel or a god, whatever you want to call it, Elohim. His father was a part of the Elohim. He was a deity or angel. And his mother was a mortal. And this is why they say that Jesus was the son of God, because they identified with the Father. See, Jesus was the son of God. And Jesus came to bring a new paradigm, a new doctrine. And this is the same thing that Tammuz did. See, prior to Jesus, it was more of a system of worship. Or prior to Tammuz, it was more of a system of many gods were worshipped. And with Tammuz, what the ETs were trying to do, and with the advent of Jesus. Now, when I talk about Jesus, I'm talking about Tammuz. It's all one and the same. So when you hear me say Jesus or Tammuz, just know that these stories correlate. These stories correlate. So what they were striving to do with the story of Tammuz and the story of Jesus and the deity Tammuz was actually they were striving to make him an intermediary or a gateway to the gods. And that's why he said that you cannot get to the Father or the kingdom except through me. See, the Father and the kingdom was talking about the group of extraterrestrial gods that created man. And instead of man worshiping various gods and many gods, they decided, well, let us raise up one amongst them. Let us raise up one amongst them, and let us basically make him the God over them. And and this was a part of an experiment. They wanted to see if that would work. And it worked for a period of time. It worked for a period of time. Jesus was basically is the intermediary. And all of this took place in the Council of Nicaea. So during the Council of Nicaea, they took out all of the books that dealt with the extraterrestrials coming in and out of the planet. And what they did was that they made the extraterrestrials more of a secret. And this is when man began to lose the knowledge of the extraterrestrial beings. See, at one point, this is what I'm pointing out here, during the advent of the Jews and in their heyday, in the Babylonians, they knew that the extraterrestrials created them. They fully knew that the extraterrestrials created them. But it wasn't until the advent of Tammuz is when they begin to lose the knowledge of these extraterrestrial beings. They begin to lose the knowledge of these extraterrestrial beings, and you still have certain groups out there like Nimrod, which was really the story of Nimrod is really talking about Sargon, which was actually he was a Babylonian king or whatever. And basically, what Nimrod was doing in the story of the Tower of Babel, the Tower of Babel means gateway or launching pad to the Most High. So he was trying to build his own station or his own launching pad for the gods, because he didn't want to go and deal with the intermediary of Tammuz. He didn't want to worship Tammuz because he knew about the extraterrestrials, and he knew that Tammuz was just an intermediary. He was an intermediary, and this was the dumbing down phase. See, they began to dumb down the humans or whatever. They didn't want the humans to have all of this knowledge or whatever, because it was various experiments. The Garden of Eden was an experiment. These were all experiments, and they were trying to figure out how they can rule the surface of the planet and basically keep getting what they want to get, which is coming back and forth, getting resources off the planet and things of that nature. They were trying to figure out how they can do this, but at the same time, without these humans knowing, because they were using the humans as the humans were basically the workers of these gods or whatever. And this is where you get the system of the elites from, because the certain humans were chosen to be the elites or the chosen ones that knew about the gods, and then you had the lesser humans, or what they called the goyim or the Gentiles, and those were this group of humans that didn't know, the sheep that didn't know about these extraterrestrials or these gods or whatever. They didn't know the knowledge of them. So what they were doing with the story of Tammuz or whatever, and then the doctrine of Tammuz and then the story of Jesus, is that this is when the one God came into play. And they were like, well, let's just say it's just one God, and you can't get to this God unless you go through Jesus. And Jesus was a demigod, in which I said the story of Jesus, the same story of Zeus. See, they had this story all over in different cultures. Like, this is what I'm pointing out. The story of Zeus, the story of Jesus, it's all the same story. The story of Heru, it's all the same story. And basically what they were doing is that they wanted to have one God that sat in the place of, that sat in the seat of the council of the Anunnaki. And this one God was responsible for controlling humans, keeping them at bay, keeping them in check. And this is what the story of Jesus represented. So in the Council of Nicaea, what they did was that this is when really in the Council of Nicaea is really how Christianity really got its start. You need to really research the Council of Nicaea. And what they did was that they took all the apocryphal texts, they called the Apocrypha, these hidden texts. They basically started to figure out how they were going to come up with the Bible. And they were going to decide which text they were going to use in this new Bible and which text they were going to do away with. And the process was basically predicated upon the extraterrestrial information that was found in these different texts. There's different extraterrestrial information that was found in the older apocryphic texts. You had different extraterrestrial information, and they began to take out extraterrestrial information because they wanted to they wanted to basically kill the memory and the knowledge that these humans had of these extraterrestrials. That's what they were doing. They were basically trying to more or less dumb down humans, and this is how we got to where we are today. That's why I'm telling you the story. So humans begin to lose the knowledge of the extraterrestrials. They began to lose the knowledge of the extraterrestrials, and this took place in the Council of Nicaea. So they finally decided what books were going to make it into this new book called the Bible that they were going to come up with. And like I said, there's various versions of the Bible. I mean, I can't go into that because I don't have enough time, but there's various versions of the Bible. But the bottom line is that humans began to lose the knowledge of the extraterrestrial beings, and this happened through the advent of Christianity. This happened through the advent of Christianity. This is when humans lost all the knowledge of the ETs, the UFOs, the relationships, because Christianity, what they did was they went around to all of the tribes and began to convert the tribes over to Christianity. So the different tribes, like the Mayans and I'm just pointing these different people out, like their ancestors, like the ancestors of the Mayans, the ancestors of the Dogons, they began to take up Christianity as a religion. And this is why even today you have like the Africans on the continent, they believe in Christianity. Those you have the indigenous people of Peru, they believe in Catholicism, many of them. Now you have some of them that still deal with the tribal customs. I mean, you still have those that still deal with the tribal customs and they communicate with the extraterrestrials directly. But what they were doing was that they didn't want the masses. Well, I'm talking about the masses because they were getting ready to set up the global economy. And they were using Christianity to set up the global economy because they wanted to control the surface of the planet totally through a global economy. And Christianity is very instrumental in paving the way for these ETs to control the surface of the planet. So what they had to do is, like I said, they had to create a system of of all the many gods. They had to do away with all the many gods and deal with one God, and they had to have an intermediary. And this is where you get the story of the Virgin Mary, Jesus, and that whole story of Joseph and all that stuff comes into play, because this is really the extraterrestrials who are behind those that set up the Council of Nicaea. See, they had a group of extraterrestrials that they were reporting to. So many of you think that this is the Illuminati and some group of human beings that put you up under this mind control. And really, it wasn't just a group of human beings. These human beings had to answer to extraterrestrials. They were still answering to them in secret. So they used the Christian doctrine to basically do away with all the tribal customs, all the tribal religions, and to deal with the one God concept. And this is where you get Christianity from. And this can be found in the story of Tammuz. You need to research the story of Tammuz, those of you that are watching this video, because it'll really give you a lot of information in regards to what I'm talking about right now. Another good book to get in regards to what I'm talking about right now is The Gods of Eden by William Bramley. He goes into this information as well, and it talks about how all world affairs were controlled by this secret group of extraterrestrials. So I'm not making this stuff up. It can be researched. If you're really looking to do the research, you really want to know, it can be researched. But the thing is that, do you really want to know, or do you just want to stay in the dark? Now, what's happening now with Christianity is that, believe it or not, Christianity has to gradually begin to change their doctrine now, because they lost their pact with the extraterrestrials eventually. And this happened when the New World was set up. And the New World is dealing with here, where I am right now in America, in these United States. In the New World, actually, these people that set up this government of the United States had secret relationships with extraterrestrials. Now, one of the founding fathers and one of the key people that dealt with these extraterrestrials was Thomas Paine. And he believed in UFOs. He was a believer in extraterrestrials and UFOs, and he's one of the founding fathers of this country. See, so Thomas Paine and many other people, even Christopher Columbus himself, said that he saw a UFO. And he believed that he was more to it or whatever. He believed that he was guided by a group of extraterrestrial beings to not only just find a new world, but to begin to set up the new government, because they were breaking away from Christianity. See, that's what the whole New World was about. It was the whole concept of the United States. This is a free country, meaning that we are not up under the control of the Catholic Church and up under the control of these different religions. You see, so they wanted to basically free up. They wanted to basically free up the minds of the people or whatever, and this is the extraterrestrials behind them, because now the religious school of thought. See, I know this is a lot of information. I don't know if this is making any sense, but the religious schools have lost their covenant. Even Christianity, after so many thousands of years, lost its covenant. It had its heyday for a minute, but the extraterrestrials chose the New Age people and the New Thinkers. The New Age people like Thomas Paine and them, the people that came to set up the United States of America. They chose them to set up this new government or whatever here in the United States, because they were preparing to make themselves known again. See, at some point, these extraterrestrials are going to make themselves known again. And though your founding fathers believed in extraterrestrial beings, there's a portrait and a painting of Christopher Columbus, and in the back of this painting, you see a UFO in the background of this painting. You see a UFO. I'll print the painting off and I'll get it for you guys. But Christopher Columbus, Thomas Paine, even Benjamin Franklin, they all believed in extraterrestrials. They all believed in UFOs. They all believed that these beings controlled and manipulated the events on the surface, and they answered to these beings. And that's what I'm getting at, is that the government is getting ready to go public. They're getting ready to go public with these extraterrestrials. They're getting ready to basically tell the secrets that these extraterrestrials are real and that there are aliens. Now, they might not tell you everything, but it's going to be gradual. And the reason why I know this is going to happen is because this is the last point I'm going to leave you with. The Catholic, the astronomer of the Catholic Church, the chief astronomer of the Catholic Church, actually in 2008 just went public and saying that that he's not going to rule out the fact that there could be extraterrestrial beings. So now the church, the Catholic Church, is coming out saying that they're not going to rule out the fact that it could be life, other life outside of humans. See, at first the church wanted to say that it was just humans that were the intelligent of God, and it was just humans, and man was basically the most intelligent being. But now they're saying that they're not going to rule out they're not going to rule out the fact that it could be extraterrestrial beings. So what this should tell you Christians, I close with this, and I know I went over my 15 minutes, but what this should tell you Christians is that your leaders are basically gradually trying to tell you that there are extraterrestrial beings that are controlling the surface of this planet Earth. They're going to make an announcement real soon about these extraterrestrial beings. That's what I'm letting you guys know. It's going to come out real soon about these extraterrestrial beings controlling the surface of the planet Earth. So you people in religion that keep trying to say that I'm making this stuff up or I'm just nuts or whatever, you need to really do your research. You need to really do your research because it's getting ready to come out real soon. And I'll do a part 3 to this. But I thank you guys for listening. And until we meet again, I'll say peace and love.